All right, some more news. Something a
Okay.
little more lighthearted. Kevin Smith. You know who that is?
That's not Jay and
That's
Silent
not
Bob
that
Kevin
dude.
Smith.
This
That dude.
dude.
Yeah. Okay.
You know who that is?
Yeah.
Kevin Smith, most famous probably for Jay and Silent Bob. Anyway, reveal that they're auctioning off his new film, Kilroy, which is a comedy horror movie, as an NFT. I listened to a podcast, which the name escapes me right now. It was like an hour and a half of him on a crypto, a pretty popular one on YouTube anyway. And he explained the NFT. I believe that they're using Phantom
Okay.
token, I believe. Not
So
100%
when he
sure.
does this, that person is auctioning basically to buy the right, basically to win the rights to his film.
They're auctioning off straight out of the gate. It's not doing nothing. Kevin Smith knows that he's stepping into a completely uncharted territory as he's auctioning off a new film, Kilroy, as an NFT non-fungible token. The owner of Kilroy NFT will secure the rights to exhibit, distribute, and stream the completed horror comedy anthology directed and co-written by and produced by Smith, making it a potential means for the new owner to earn money outside of the blockchain, kind of in the real world. This brave new world, it makes me feel young, like the young artists that came into the business. Smith, who kickstarted his career selling the low budget movie Clerks at the Sundance Festival in '94, tells USA Today, if this works, the sky really is the limit. There's also a chance this whole thing could blow up in our faces. But basically, what he was talking about, what I gathered from the podcast and stuff, is he's really he's he's getting really deep into the crypto.
Good.
They talked about paying actors in Bitcoin. They talked about experimenting with this NFT stuff because they have a lot of. Apparently, he's pretty involved with comic books and art. They have a Jay and Silent Bob. So non-fungible NFTs and tokens and stuff like
Right.
that. Digital NFTs. And yeah, just tokenizing the movie is kind of the first because the Kings of Leon were
They
tokenized
did the
first to
album.
tokenize the album.
Yep.
This kind of uh anybody the auction it off or whatever, and the winner can get that, and they're actually going to be in custody of that movie. They could go home and hang it on their wall and nobody ever see it except for them, or they can share it with the world. And he's like, yeah, I'll walk them through the whole thing, introduce us to or introduce them to our people and how we do it or how we did do it, and just to do it, just to experiment to see, you know.
So, and here's the cool thing about NFTs is that he can put in that NFT that he gets a certain percentage every time it's whatever, purchased or sold or transferred or whatever. So potentially in the long run, he could still make money off of this movie.
I I'm sure at some way or whatever, but I believe from what I gathered, he's given
He's
this
just letting it
the
go.
winner is getting everything.
Wow.
And I doubt the winner is gonna want to like just immediately flip the movie, you know what I mean? To
Right.
some other buyer. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know where they are in their life or
So my question is what if studios jump in here, right?
yeah.
It could happen.
Yeah,
Like a studio could buy this so that they can distribute it and make money and do whatever else. So it may not be an
absolutely.
individual buyer.
And other movie this guy's pretty tight with like they spoke of he couldn't name any names, but it sounded like people like George Lucas and
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino and other people like that are asking him a lot of questions.
So here's the thing, I'm going to quote you, okay? Your Bitcoin is buying you more right now, and your dollar is buying you less, okay? These people aren't stupid. They're going to get with the program and they're going to see that the dollar is a burning outhouse, controlled by somebody that's not you. So they're going to get in on this. Like the whole thing with NFTs, like I hear a lot of people say it's a bubble. Sure, maybe it is or maybe it isn't, but the idea of it leads to so many other things. And I think that it frees art in the long run. I hope.
Yeah, I mean, well, like when the internet first came out and we first heard of it, or I remember the first internet was first introduced to, we were like, I don't know, junior, senior
Yeah.
in high school, was like the first time I've ever been on the internet or whatever.
Right.
And I was like, what, you know, what the hell? What email? It was like email. And I was like, okay, that's like the use for it. It's like digital mail. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, but you never seen it being YouTube and Netflix and you know,
Amazon.
search engines, Amazon. Yeah, exactly.
Think about that. Like, if I want a hose adapter for one of my irrigation systems that I have here on the farm, I can go right on Amazon. I can get it. It'll be delivered by Tuesday, right? Or I can get in my truck. I can drive to town, which is 25 minutes away. I can stand there with my mouth open, talking to some dude from Home Depot and spend 3 hours doing that. You know, what's the
Yeah,
easiest thing to do?
when we were in school and we sat down on that computer to check email or whatever, you never thought ever you'd be getting
Ever.
hose
Ever.
clamps for your, yeah.
Jimmy, think about this right here that you and I are doing. Okay. When you and I were in high school, right? You dated a girl from Fort Fairfield, right? Yeah, you hadn't thought about that in a while. But think about this. With that, so Fort Fairfield was like 35 minutes from our town, but to make a phone call there was long distance,
Oh,
right?
made some long distance phone calls
So
there.
imagine you can date a girl
Bills.
5 towns over now, and you can do this, and it doesn't cost anything but your monthly internet bill.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you remember long distance bills? Good
They were
Lord.
horrible. I remember you had a big one. Really big one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, the thing that I want to get back to is that I don't think that you can count out NFTs, because I think this is where the magic happens. And not
Yeah.
only that, I actually spent time, maybe I hate bringing up things twice, and I can't remember if I said this or not, but 2 weeks ago, I got to hang out with an art broker, just hanging out at somebody's house. I ran into her. She said that's what she did. And I said, what kind of stuff are you doing? And she said she would do Picasso's and whatever. So she's doing some like upper end stuff, right? And just judging from meeting her, she's kind of an upper crust person, you know what I mean? And she said that people were calling her and asking her for NFTs. And we were talking about people and the whole bit. And it's like, and she literally would say stuff about like how much people were willing to spend on NFTs, and it's not a small amount. And whether or not that continues, it doesn't matter. It gives so much more expansion to the space, you know? Like I think about when I was a kid playing music, like if you could fund your album with people that are actually listening to your stuff, like think about that. Like all of the TV shows, all of the music that we had, everything that happened, like from the 50s up through now, you know, even just recent years, it's what they thought we wanted, right? NFTs give you the option of putting your money in what you want to see instead of what they want to feed you, you know? Because I don't know how many times you've been watching something and there's this underlying narrative that they don't come right out and say, but they're trying to get you to believe something or buy something or just accept something that they're giving to you. And it's like, we're on the precipice of that doesn't have to happen anymore, you know?
Yeah, it's no longer you're like using the product. It's like you are the product. That's why all these apps and stuff are free, most of them, because you are the product to them. Your data, your information, and you know, it's some of that stuff's scary if you really look into it. There's a movie on Netflix. I forget the name of it, but it's basically all these people that worked at TikTok, Google, Facebook, and from like a moral standpoint, they quit, or at least that's what the narrative of the movies don't. And it's just how AI, some of these platforms and stuff like that can within like I think it's like 88% accuracy can tell you where you're gonna be next week and what you're gonna buy.
Yeah.
Like within 80 something percent accuracy.
Yeah. it's super creepy.
So these companies fight over the being able to put that ad at that particular time on your mobile device,
Yep. I mean, so that part of it is really disappointing and really scary on a certain level. Like, I know I've been checking out of Facebook a lot more, like just not spending the time there because they don't respect, like you're a piece of digital meat to them,
Yeah.
And I hope that it gets more towards the basic attention token type setup, where if they're going to take our information, at least we'll get paid for that, because right now we're not getting a thing. These social media platforms are like the banks that we've talked about, where the banks are taking your money, they're using your money, they're not giving you anything in return.
Yeah, you gotta look in I think Orchid, I think is what it's called. You ever heard of that coin?
No.
No. Well, that's kind of, I think that was one of the goals that they had, was kind of like a decentralized internet, very similar to the Braid, probably. I just remember this was the first one that I've heard about. You can get it on Coinbase. I don't know what it
Really?
is for the market cap. Orchid, yeah. You could for quite a while. It's been on there for a while. Orchid Protocol organizes bandwidth sellers to structure peer-to-peer network, teamwork, market customers, sellers, order proximity chain. Unlike more common methods, send and receiving data and global internet chains, proper data about source of data information, its destination. No single relay or proxy holds both pieces of information or knows the identity of someone who does, or the structure. The internet was originally an open platform where people could freely learn and communicate. Unfortunately, the internet grew to become a place where people could be monitored, controlled, and censored. We're building a new civil contract around this distributed marketplace for computation, storage, bandwidth to provide framework for a new digital citizenship form of, basically it's a decentralized internet platform that's kind of right on the same frame of mind that we are in, or the conversation that we're in now, really.
So yeah, Jack Spirko, Survival Podcast, talks about digital nations. Like, wrap your head around that one. We'll talk about that at some point. But I mean, basically being able to opt out, opt out or opt into whatever you want to do and do business in whatever virtual nation you're in. And think about that with things like Decentraland, like you could do some really funky stuff with that,
Yeah. Oh, like this, just for instance, I mean, we were on here looking at the silver, the Amazon, and then I'm over here on CoinGecko and I'm getting these ads already.
Yeah.
Didn't take long,
There it is.
But market cap 2.3, Jesus, man, 2.3 trillion, over 2.3 trillion. And Bitcoin dominance at 46.5%.